So I want to start out by saying that I'm pretty much a noob at flying this drone, but I'm learning, and you can see the evidence of the learning in this video. So the next 10 minutes is going to be aerial drone footage of Castle Stark here. And just for some general overview, Castle Stark is the capital of OG Foundation, which is a sovereign state created out of Vermont. Vermont is the only country which has enshrined the right of all people, all individuals, to create their own state. And so I have enacted my right to create my own state here. And then OG Foundation, which is, so the Castle Stark is basically the stone structure that you see on top of the hill. And then OG Foundation, the borders of that is like the green fence there. So Castle Stark is like the Capitol building within the state of OG Foundation. And then it's all staked to the country of Velodium. I froze it right there because you get a north-south kind of view from the tip of the citadel across the Castle Stark. And this is looking at the east side, which is not public facing, and it's not as complete. So most of the shots are all of the west side. I will be working on the east side as well and completing the whole stone facade on all the sides. But I'm focusing on the public-facing sides first because Castle Stark is a symbol. And I've got to focus on the public-facing part of the symbol before I do the rest of it. So one issue that arose is I'm flying on a cold day. I'm actually on 2 different days I'm flying, but you can see the screen on the drone kind of fogs up a little, so it makes the picture quality not really ideal. But I still wanted to share. And then basically the cuts are when I'm sorry about that. Cuts are when I'm doing kind of adjustments because I'm still new at flying the drone. So some things are jerky, and then sometimes I'm looking the wrong way or kind of adjusting things wrong. Here you can see kind of the solar array. In this last year, the solar array was expanded by maybe 1.5 kilowatts, roughly. And now it's somewhere around 4 kilowatts. There's 6 different residences here at OG Foundation, 3 residences in Castle Stark, and then 3 separate, but within OG Foundation. And here's another view from the south looking north. So you can see everything. There's as much passive thermal gain as possible. So you see a mix of windows for solar gain, and then you see the solar panels as well from this view. The first day I flew the drone, I went straight into a tree, and then I spent the next hour looking for it because there was deep snow. And it just disappeared in the powder. And even though there's GPS on the drone, it took me forever to find it. But luckily I did find it. You can see the flag a little bit on top of the Molly Stark Tower. So the big tower on the left is called the Molly Stark Tower. And the flag on top of it is the Stark flag, which comes from General John Stark, flying it as a general of the sovereign state of New Hampshire in defense of Vermont, as well as the people of New Hampshire. And then Vermont, as a independent country, took Stark's flag and adopted it for the Vermont flag. This is Molly the Dragon. She's the dragon of the Molly Stark Tower. And at first I was going to call it the Princess Tower, and there's going to be a dragon to guard the princess, like in silly stories. But it became Molly the Dragon for the Molly Stark Tower. This is a kind of cool shot from far away to get the whole view of the hill that I'm on here, and you can see the stone walls are on top of rammed earth tire walls. So there's some areas where there's not the stone on top yet, and there's just the tire walls. There's a couple areas where the tires aren't fully pounded and they're just kind of in the place where a pounded tire wall will be. And so last year, I spent all year building that Molly Stark tower, and it's not quite livable yet, but that'll be my next focus of season 13 in this 9th year of Elodium. So Elodium is the nation state that I've staked OG Foundation to. And it's also, OG Foundation is my Elodium. Elodium is a word that means owned absolutely by occupation and defense without any overlord. So every sovereign who has their own territory has their own Elodium. And I get a number of shots going left to right. I try to do right to left, left to right from the west side. I try to do different angles, and I'm like practicing also just navigating the drone, because it's not exactly intuitive. The left joystick looks left to right, but it doesn't look up down, which would be the intuitive thing. Instead, up down is elevation of the drone. And then to actually look up down, you have to use a thing on the back left of the joystick, which is really annoying. Elevation should be the roller on the back left, and looking left, right, and looking up down should be the same joystick on the left joystick. And then the right joystick is moving like front to back, left to right. So you've got to use 3 different kind of things. And so I'm getting a little bit better at kind of connecting those. As you can see in that shot, it does a little bit better. And luckily, the second 2 days I flew, I didn't hit any obstacles, which was nice. And so eventually, as I get better with the drone, I'll be able to do continuous shots of multiple angles, like flying all around. And then also in time, kind of doing more obstacles as well. So like the closer I can get to the trees, basically, and if I can like get down, maybe like get through an arch or something. And just the closer you can get to obstacles, the neater the shot is, because you get all sorts of extra perspective. Like there's a big arch in between the Molly Stark Tower and the other structure that you can see right there at the bottom. So if I was really good, I could fly down into that arch and then fly through it. But I've got a lot to learn. I got to get a lot more practice on the drone. So basically, you get a good view of everything. I think this year I'm gonna build. I've actually got a whole new design. I'm gonna completely re-engineer how I do ferro cement and completely change the materials that I use, to use cheaper, better materials and a new, completely different, innovative way to build. So that's going to be cool. And I think it's going to increase the quality and decrease the kind of corrosion risk. So I'm going to use cattle panels as my primary material. That's the idea. Because they're 16 feet long, they're 4-gauge thick steel, and it's all galvanized. And I'm going to basically use that to replace remesh and replace rebar for the most part, because it's going to be strong enough to do that. And then instead of using the metal galvanized lath, I'm going to use like a fiberglass type mesh to accept the mortar. But it's not going to be for... oh, so here, this shot, I'm kind of like getting around the obstacle, sort of. So I'm getting closer and just kind of getting a little bit better along with this. So the remesh is going to have all the tensile strength, and then the fiberglass is just going to be to kind of accept the mortar. So it should be like half the cost of metal cost in the new design. And I'll get into that probably late March, but mostly kind of starting in April. I think I'm going to start maybe with an arch to the left of the Molly Stark Tower over the road there. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.